every single member of staff what they need to do. And it's practice, practice, and practice to get it perfect. Well, at least near perfect. So, regular workshops, drills, safety protocols. What I just said. Continuous practice. Okay, and obviously the next line is mainly for the ride systems, where maintenance comes to a big part of it. Operations come to a big part of it. So maintenance staff needs to go through the OMM manual, read through it, understand it, and know what they have to replace, what parts they have to replace, rather than go through the motion. But what I also notice is that a lot of them are stuck because of financial resources. So because they don't have a lot of support from management, they can't buy new parts, they can't buy new stuff, they can't retrain people, and because of the high turnover rate, they gain the experience, they leave. When new guys come in, they restart the whole process again. This is a prevalent problem in Southeast Asia, and I think Sean was talking about it this morning. It's because of the high turnover rate, and people don't feel that there's a career moving forward in the long run. And this is something we have to change. We have to change in this part of the world. Second case study about maintenance. Not really a case study. So this is a coaster that is, I'm not going to mention the manufacturer, but yeah, a kid basically died. Okay, on the coaster because the coaster derailed. Derailed means that the wheels came off the coaster and the train literally flew out of the track. Okay, so that example, I read about it, had a look at it, it's down to maintenance. So the wheel carrier was not replaced, it's not changed, delaminated, one problem after another, and this is what happens. Totally unnecessary. And this is what we're going to avoid. And that's what I talked about regarding maintenance, having management to support you with resources, finance to do it right. Because once something like this happens, like this part, it was completely shut down. Shut down. That's it. Government step in, that's it. You lose more money that way. Okay, so down to again communication, proper staff instruction, presentation, fixed signboards, languages. Use as many signage as you can, especially on the ride system. If you are familiar, there are usually about 3 or 4 languages to tell you what to do, what not to do, before going on to the ride. Another one, and you thought that it's only Southeast Asia that we have this problem, right? No, not true. This is in Paris Disneyland. So you expect Disney, obviously, to have everything prim and proper, which is correct. Nothing wrong. Operation did nothing wrong. Maintenance did nothing wrong. Nobody did anything wrong. It was a gas problem. So this gas got very impatient, okay, at the unload, and she couldn't wait because there was a long queue to get out of the boat. It was a boat ride. What did she do? She decided to get out of the boat herself, step onto the water, carry her child, and bring it onto the station. That is a safety no-no. And that led to a massive downtime. Because if you know Universals and the Disneys, when something like that happens, everything stops, the E button goes on, water gets drained, restart the whole system again. So one selfish act like that causes a massive downtime, and people around you, the rest of the guests, they don't get to take the ride. Okay? It shuts for the whole day. So please don't do this, no matter how impatient you are. Okay, study number 2. So this is a project in Vietnam, Vietnam Sinatra. Really nice attraction, very popular attraction. What really happened, I was on site, it's a boat ride, but during the testing and commissioning, okay, we found a worker in a pool. Yeah. While the boat was coming down. Okay? Nobody saw him, nobody tracked him, so it's down to not, people not going down, checking around the whole flow to make sure everybody's out, putting announcement over the PA system. And the other problem we rectified later on was because of where the CCTV monitors were located. It's typically where the operators are. In this case, the CCTV was located in another room, away from the operators, so they had no visuals of where this person was. So as the boat was coming down, there was a guy stuck somewhere there, Thankfully, he was outside of the barrier. You see this? This is a barrier. He was outside the barrier. Thankfully, nothing happened. But this is again an example of what you should and should not do. And also, like I said, the monitors for visual checks from the operations team should be where the operation team is actually leading the run. Right? Is where it should be, not in another room. So emergency preparedness is something that we talk a lot in terms of safety. So what do you do in that case earlier on? Emergency preparedness come into place, where you're going to then stop the ride, do an e-stop, get everybody out, restart again. But imagine if it's full of guests, and you've got to get everybody, out of the boats, unload everything, and restart again. And that's where the operation team, together with the fire safety team, they need to know where the egress from the ride, where it leads to, where the exit points are, where the gathering points are. These are things that people within the park has to know, because they are the only people that the guests rely on in the event of an emergency. They are the people that we look forward to lead them out safely out of the attraction. Technology. So as you know, these days we have a lot of new technology systems into ride systems. For example, using a Vekoma ride. In a Vekoma ride coaster, you can actually pinpoint on the PLC, which is the screen that the operator looked at, where the harness is not locked in. For example, if you've got 20 people on a coaster, on a train, the ride system is able to immediately tell the operator that one of the harness is not locked in. When it's not locked in, there is a red signal that comes into the PLC, that you can see on the screen, and the ride, no matter what the operator does, he can press 1,000 times and it never moves. So every single ride harness has to be locked in, it turns into green, and then the operator presses the button and it goes. Short of that, the ride would never move. So this is what we use technology for. Not just technology in the train system, not just technology in the ride, but making sure that safety is in place every single step of the way. That is pre-thought, that is considered during the design phase. And in places such as the big parks, they have what they call dual restraint system, which means not just a single restraint across the shoulder, but safety belt or something. So in case one goes off, you still have a secondary restraint system. And that is important in ride systems, not just in ride show as well. You always got to have a secondary restraint system. So in Universal, for example, where I was, it was part of the whole Universal GPS, right? The general performance specs, which you have to follow. Every supplier has to follow. And it requires a GPS Type 1 system to make sure that all your harnesses are in place and locked in. I know it's a bit boring with all this, these acronyms, but bear with me, okay? Ask me any questions, since there's only 20 of us. Case study number 3, which is what I'm coming to. I was a project director for this project in Singapore. A couple of accidents, small ones, a couple of incidents, also small ones. I think the biggest challenge we had in this project, I just want to share, was from the day that we started to the day that we opened, we had 26 months. We had 26 months to build a theme park, right? And it's all because of the casino. It was tied back to the casino. If Universal Studios Singapore did not open, the casino in Resorts World Sentosa does not open. You know what that means, right? So because it was 26 months, at the peak of our construction, we had 10,000 people on site. We had 4,000 machineries in a very small, tight 22 hectare space. So you can imagine the mess, right? So I don't want to go into details. There were a couple of accidents, but there's one that I would like to specifically mention, which happened in the journey to Madagascar ride. Now it's no more, it's gone. It's a boat ride. So that was an incident where I would say that pre-preparation was not in place, was not properly in place. Despite having all the regulations, all the SOP, everything there, on paper, on document, we had everything. Still, things happen. So in this case, it was a worker. It was a general worker, right? Middle workers. When they're tired, they fall asleep, and they fall asleep anywhere. And this was during construction phase, mind you, towards the end, when we were doing testing and commissioning. It was a boat ride again. So, as we were doing the testing and commissioning, everybody was out, announcement was made, every single proper checks was done. But there's always corners where you don't realize it. So there was a worker that was sleeping. He's probably too tired, whatever it is. He slept. And again, he decided to go for a swim while the testing was happening. Because he wanted to get over to the other side. Right? I mean, it's a shallow water, don't get me wrong, shallow. But I decided to think that he could just walk across. So again, but thank God it was on CCTV, we could see it, everything was perfect, stopped the ride. So what I'm trying to say is that the first case study where you had, the second case study we had in Natron Wind Wonders, that was without proper pre-preparation. This was absolutely down to everything. It was properly done, properly prepared. But still, things like that do happen. So, avoidance, yes. Preparation, yes. But what I'm trying to say is, basically Murphy's Law, things still happen. Okay? That's about it, see? Short and sharp. So, like I said, I like to do case studies instead of going through words after words, and then I know everybody's falling asleep. Okay? Because it's a dry subject. Okay, so that is basically what I want to run through to tell you examples of bad examples, good examples, and super good examples, like Tokyo Disneyland, for example. Okay? But yet, with all that in place, with all documents, personnel, maybe technology, things still do happen. Bad things still do happen. So, be diligent, be alert, that's what I say. Beside me missing the letter T, short of that, that is safety and is paramount. So, that's it. Thank you. Sorry, I got to refer to this, although I know him so well. So we go to the panel discussion now. I want to bring on Chris Hope. Everybody knows who Chris is. I know Chris for many years. He has been in Chimelong for 20 years. And Chimelong, as you know, is the biggest, or one of the biggest theme parks, zoos, aquarium in China. It's got about 30 million visitors per year with many attractions. I've been there many times. Beautiful park, beautiful white tigers. We got what, 150, 200 white tigers? So Chris, an expert there, met him many times. Wanted him to buy stuff from me. Got a lot of crap from him. But a really good friend. So without further ado, please welcome Chris. Okay, so Chris, thank you for sharing, coming here, joining us today. So maybe we start by talking a little bit about yourself before we go to the questions. So for those of you who know Chris, bear with it. Those of you who don't know Chris very well, then we will listen out to Chris and his experiences and a little bit about himself. Chris.
Thank you. My name is Chris Ho. So mentioned, I work for Chimelong over 20 years. I've been doing different kind of position, global sourcing, related project management, creative management. Now I just recently founded my company. I resigned from Chimelong, I moved on from Chimelong last year. So this year I founded my own company. It's called SAE. So people ask me what is SAE. SAE means shows, attractions, and exhibition. Because at Changlong we do for most of the parks, you will see live shows, you will see attractions, we have animal exhibits, animal exhibits. So we'll provide turnkey services on consulting advice to developers. So I hope that we'll have an opportunity to work with more people like Alex. We are not just supplier and developer, but now I'm also kind of supplier. So we are friends, and it's always good that to get to know more people and join this panel. He's an expert. Talk about safety. I don't think I'm really an expert, but I will look at it from more like a business perspective. So I try my best to answer your questions.
Okay, thank you, Chris. So, Chris, we know that Changlong is obviously a huge organization in China. As far as attractions, as far as zoos, aquariums, and we know that Changlong has got a really, really good safety mentality, safety procedure in place. So can you maybe share with us what are Changlong's core philosophies when it comes to safety management?
So thank you. Actually, I've learned a lot from your presentation. Already quite comprehensive. Changlong was small before, back to 20 years ago. We do safari park, especially when we would like to develop theme parks, amusement parks. That was a big challenge. So it's very important that we're going to put safety first on everything, no matter you're big or small. So in my opinion, conceptually, I think there are two comprehensive. One is full life cycle safety management, which should include design, supply chain, and manufacturing, construction, safety, operation, emergency management. And the other, this should be all around safety management, which means every aspect of each safety state. So for example, when we designed, a couple of years ago, we designed a new large circuit shows. The director proposed multiple high-speed winches. It's about, I think, up to 3 meters per second. Right? That's up and down, and it's human, very fast. And we talked to a very large supplier, and very expensive. But I think the big challenge is the tight schedule. We always have a tight schedule, like every Chinese developer. And there are significant technical challenges. So in altogether, this will make the uncertainty over 20%. So anything over 20% concerning technical challenge or safety will reject the director. So we reject the director's idea. And it's a nice idea to have a beautiful act with a lot of jumping, performance up and down, all the lighting and pictures, but we reject this idea. And then we decided to buy very mature equipment, the winches, and we asked him to adjust the choreography. But eventually, I think the effect is the same. It's acceptable. And another example is when we design the big parks. For holidays, we can get up to 90,000 visitors in a single day. So when we design it, we got to make sure the operation can really manage. Otherwise, if you are operation, what can you going to do? Because the design already has a lot of problems. So we will do one-way tour route, and we will have multiple buffer area. So, and also for larger structures, for the entrance and exit, we will separate them far away from each other to allow sufficient area for the queuing. So, and you know, misbehavior is very, very commonly seen also in China. So that's how we will do. So we do put the safety, in advance, more important than any other thing.
Okay, thanks for sharing on that. But if you look at Time is a big company, right? What about the small and medium enterprise, SMEs? Well, how are they going to cope with doing a cost-effective strategy, safety-wise?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And you talk about it as well. And I think especially for GTI show, I think a lot more people they think about safety for small or medium-sized operation and structures. So I think maybe there are three aspects we can consider. One is focus on priorities. So always think about 80% versus 20%. So spend your 20% of your money to solve 80% of the problem. A lot of high frequency risks. Okay? Most likely you can lose 20% of your money to resolve it. That's very important. And secondly, to leverage external resources. Because you can, for example, to hire third party, do safety audit. You can apply for government subsidies if there's any. I guess nowadays a lot of government will provide subsidies. And to empower your frontline staff, which you definitely hit the point. No matter how good you prepare, you never know, something just happens. So the frontline staff, they should have the authority to do something, to take action, to stop something, which is abnormal.
Okay, thanks for sharing that as well. But you see, the problem in Asia, Southeast Asia, I'm sure Sean will also understand this. A lot of employees, they don't have the automatic mindset to have safety in the mind, safety as part of their daily culture, as part of their daily work stuff, work mindset, or even their routine. So how can organizations encourage them to have that in them and to do it?
Well, I think it's a common challenge for every company, no matter big or small. And I always believe that to give three things. First of all, is to give clear responsibility. No matter what kind of what you do, design, operation, or construction people, it has to be clear. And then you got to give them authority. And clear authority. And last but not least, to give them benefits. And if you just give them punishment, it's not enough benefits. So we will try to create very clear responsibility list, and will clearly define who is the first responsible person or position. So, which is second responsible person or position, or even the third. And no matter how clearly you can define it, but there's still sometimes some gray area. And then what I do is I will if anything is unclearly defined, so the superior have to bear the responsibility. And even I would go even more extreme is I would define the percentage of the responsibility. If something happened, the consequence may be the first responsible person has to take 60% of the responsibility, something like that. And then with this kind of responsibility, people know they will have pressure. And they know they will figure out what to do. And then give them the authority especially frontline people, if they find something abnormal, they take action, they stop it, they stop the operation. A lot of pressure for big tasks, a lot of complaint if you stop something. So for those employees, you have to encourage them, make them dare to manage, make them be willing to manage, but they will not be criticized. They will not be held accountable for that kind of consequence. And the last but not least is benefit. What benefit they can get? If they don't get any benefit, I don't think people really pay attention. So you can think about allocating certain percentage of your monthly profit to a safety bonus pool. Give them reward. If, for example, a cleaner discover exposed a wire, so maybe he or she will get 60 ringgit as a reward. So make sure that everyone understands safety is related to them. So forming an atmosphere where everyone values safety. That's what I can share. Thank you.
Wow, I like the benefit part. I never had benefits when I was doing safety. Anyway, that was a good sharing time from Chris. So if you don't mind, round of applause for Chris for sharing with us.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Okay, now we go to the Q&A session. So I know there's not many of us here. So if you have any questions, please, not too difficult ones, please.
It's not a difficult question for you, Chris. Thank you very much for sharing your experience. You told us the process of safety. And say it's very much a cultural aspect. But how do you know that you're in control as management team? At the end, you have your operations, your daily operations. How do you know that you're in control of safety?
Are you sure this is an easy question?
No, it isn't.
Actually, I am not an operation, person. But just like Alex said, no matter how good you plan, you never know if things is in control. So to me, it's more important that I will think about the consequence first. So if there's something happen, so who should take the responsibility? If there is no clear responsibility, when we do a project, people argue, people all trying to get credit. If something is good, it turns out to be good. If it's turned out to be bad, people all say that it's nothing to do with me. So it has to be from end to end. Now, I don't know how to assure everything 100% safe, but at least we're gonna find someone to take the responsibility, no more, no less. I think the ideal ideas. I'm a little bit crazy. My team, not everyone at time long, but the team that I manage are trying to define first person, let's say 60% of the responsibility. If this is gonna happen, the second person will be 30%, and the third person. So what is first person? First person is like me, maybe like me. I just talk, I just make decisions, but I have to take more responsibility. But sometimes it's my subordinate make mistake, and I have to take more responsibility. And because I have bigger power, I said that's his problem. That is not fair, because that's the guy I choose, or that's the guy I teach. I select for the project, so I still have to take more responsibility. Once this is clear, then there will be no argument. And I think that will be, so far I think it will be a more effective way. But for benefits, it's hard to know. Some owners are willing to give a lot of benefits in terms on safety, some are not. But they suffer huge loss when something happens, more than they are willing to give to the employees. And I guess and because I am from a global sourcing background, when we don't have experts in-house, we don't have good experts in-house, I buy the equipment from the best vendors. And that's Mr. Su's philosophy as well. That's why we buy equipment from the company. Because you guys will take care of a lot of things that we don't know.
Thank you very much, and also thank you very much for the compliment.
Oh yes. I think you like the last statement, right?
Very much, thank you.
I'm not going to say anything about that. Any further questions from anyone? Okay, then I guess that's pretty much it. Sean, over to you.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you, Chris. Thank you for sharing. I love those ideas that you were sharing in terms of empowerment, sharing of responsibility, and even just rewarding people for identifying and giving back for identifying safety issues. Really powerful stuff, really practical. And Alex, for those scenarios, awesome. It really opens our eyes. So thank you everyone for coming. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your input. Maybe we'll see you at 3:30 for the next presentation. Enjoy the rest of the expo.
你要能力好才行啊，不然我全部丢给你们跳。哦，
我只是看那个绿色背景的那个。
当然，
没事没事，不着急。
是要来发 Facebook。